All right, hello everybody. Welcome
Hi.
back for your new reader.
Were you talking to us or were you talking to the chat?
I'm talking to you guys and I'm talking in the chat.
Awesome.
So
What are we
hello to
doing?
everyone.
What is this old reader, new reader that I keep hearing about?
Well, the show every Tuesday. Can't miss
Uh-huh.
it. Mostly every Tuesday. When there's an old reader and a new reader, and then more people, and sometimes everyone's new and sometimes everyone's old. You know, it's a review show. And
Okay.
it's live.
And by old, you don't mean age, right? You just
No.
mean like
But
somebody.
sometimes it does.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, Omni
We're
Dog is
Omar's here anyway.
God. All right.
I know.
No, we're not reading any comics in here.
No.
Actually, Jess hates this story so much. That is.
Oh,
funny.
really?
Yeah. So neither one of you have ever read Knightfall. Oh, yeah. What are we
No.
talking about today, Maddie? This is your show. You
Yeah.
introduce it. What are we
All right,
talking
this is Patreon voted on Batman Knightfall Omnibus Volume 1. Which contains, I had my list up. Oh, I still do. It contains, I should put in the description, Batman issues 484 to 500, Shadow of the Bat 16 to 18, Batman Vengeance of Bane #1, Detective Comics 654 to 666, and Showcase 93, issue 7 and 8. So this was our Patreon vote. Yes, my first time reading it. And I haven't even read any stories within it, or I did watch a video after reading it just so I could see if there's any context I should know about. And I'm glad I did, because I guess this was like this story was kind of a response to the changes in comics at the time. Like a lot of people at this time were wanting more like anti-heroes, and they were feeling a lot of like interest in our like typical superheroes. So like at this point, Batman and Superman, like DC Comics responded by one, killing off Superman and having other people take the mantle, which then explained why he's wearing that Superman armband, Batman, because I had no idea.
We've read Death of Superman. You should.
Well, no, I know. I don't know when things
happen.
Yeah. You know, I don't.
So yeah, to set the scene up, this was a huge thing that DC was doing because they were changing a lot of the old guard and turning it into the new guard. And some of it we have read here because we did read The Death of Superman, and then we read the Emerald Twilight, which is the beginning of Kyle Rayner taking over as the Green Lantern. I don't think, and we really need to, though, read Wonder Woman by William Nestor Lopes. And that is my buddy Peter M's favorite run on Wonder Woman. But it is the beginning of the Artemis arc where she takes over Wonder Woman. There's also one Green Arrow got killed and replaced by Connor Hawke. So DC was changing, like Guy Gardner was becoming Guy Gardner Warrior. It was like, it worked because Superman, The Death of Superman was selling so well. So they were like, hey, let's keep this trend going. So the next summer was Batman Knightfall. And they were like, okay, let's get rid of Batman, but not kill him. Let's just hurt him really bad. So that's kind of where the idea came from of like replacing these old characters with newer characters because it had worked so well for Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, like we had the Reign of Superman where four characters were introduced as the cape wearers of Superman while he was gone.
And like not only that, right, but also like putting this forward almost to kind of defend Batman. Like, okay, if this is what you want, we're going to make this happen. We're going to replace this guy with a guy who's like the antithesis of Batman, who's not doing it according to what Batman's rules are.
Yeah.
And we're going to show you why it doesn't work.
You know what's really crazy is that every single one of these Knightfall collections, whether it's the Omnis, there's 3 of these, by the way, because this is just the first part. It's Knightfall, then Night Quest, then Night's End. The Night's End is beautiful because it has one of the best Batman stories in there, and that's Prodigal. Now, every one of these collections, whether it's the trade paperbacks or the fatties, the fat collections, or the Omnis, none of them, absolutely none of them, collect Sword of Azrael, which is ridiculous because Sword of Azrael, to me, is the beginning of Knightfall. It's where you are introduced to Jean-Paul Valley, the guy that will take over the over the mantle of Batman. And it's got amazing artwork by Joe Quesada and, of course, written by Dennis O'Neil. And for some reason, never properly collected it. It's weird because, like, I get it. Vengeance of Bane, first appearance of Bane. That's cool. That's collected in this. All these weird stories where Jean-Paul Valley's wearing. Yes, it makes absolutely no sense. No matter how many printings this has had, like, never has it been collected with Knightfall. Maybe overseas. Yeah, it took. I think people have heard me complain about this before. Yes, not on my overviews because I keep it professional. I just mentioned it there. But when I can go at it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we have not collected this. How? It's got, like, it needs to be an oversized format. Anyway, so yes, there was a character that was introduced with the Order of Saint Dumas. His father was the original Azrael, or one of the Azraels, and then he became Azrael. Long story short, he was kind of orphaned. So Bruce Wayne's like, oh man, you come to my house. I pick up a bunch of homeless kids, and you come me, Alfred, and Harold, and good old Tim Drake during this time, who was Robin. So he takes him back, and that's kind of where this starts, honestly. This starts with all those stories where Jean-Paul Valley is, trying to find his own. He got rid of the Azrael costume, which to me is one of the greatest superhero costumes ever. I love it.
Yeah, it looked cool from like the minimum time we
saw.
it
was on it was like a cover, and that was about it. Like maybe a little bit of a flashback. But in this, you get the stories where him and Tim Drake are running around. And Batman, you get the feeling like it is in your face that he is like really tired, right? And that's where Bane steps in. Like, Bane is this guy that has. Here, I'm gonna let you all. I've talked about the story a lot.
No,
so
you're
you all explain what's.
I mean,
what's
a lot happens.
A lot happens. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you break it down very easy. Batman has a hell of a time after Bane pretty much breaks out every villain in Arkham Asylum. So.
Well, let's talk about the purpose. Why does Bane want? Like, Bane has no connection to Batman. He was just a kid and grew up on this horrible prison.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that felt for him.
So this is his first time we're seeing Bane. Then this is the first time he's introduced.
This is the first appearance of Bane.
Okay,
yeah. So we get this story of him being born in prison, and in the country that he's in, it's by law. The son is the one who has to carry out his father's prison sentence if he passes away or he's missing. And so Bane he grows up in the prison, and he talks to a guy named Bird. Oh, sorry. He has this vision of himself from the future. It's like, hey, one day you're gonna be big and strong like me, And he also has this nightmare of this bat. So he's scared of this bat. It's like, you have to fight your fear to fight this bat. And this Bam Bird is like, oh yeah, like there's this big city Gotham. It's really cool. It's run by the Batman. He's like, hold up, I'll take care of Gotham. Basically, he's like, I'll take that over. Which if he had never mentioned a bat there, if he mentioned a bat in another city, he would have gone somewhere else. But because of that coincidence, he's like, I'll go here.
Yep.
This does collect the Omnibus and the new trade paperback collections do collect Vengeance of Bane. And yes, volume 2 and 3 are out of print, but I have sent DC the list, and I actually got some feedback just yesterday.
Nice.
So who knows? Feedback, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Do go on, Maddie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I probably dumbed that down a little too much.
No, I think it's great.
See the horrors he goes through in prison, and once he has this realization, he goes and attacks the other people in the prison that were giving him a tough time. He's in solitary confinement for years. And then once he makes it out of that, they then decide to test on him and test Venom, something that was previously tested on Batman. Yeah, and this cool part, because he's in solitary, but the cell fills up with water every day from I guess he's near an ocean. And so he gets food from that. He imagines himself in these fantastical scenarios where he's this warrior. And that's kind of how he makes it through mentally through here. This is the way he makes it through until he gets back out to the prison and gets a following from people. And so this is this is a different Bane than sometimes we see, because it's a very intelligent man. Who feels
he's
strong
studying, he's constantly reading, and he has this obsession with Batman. I love revisiting the story because I have read it since I was a teenager, and I'm always like at different points in my life. And it is really interesting to study this kind of character because it's kind of his escape, right? Like if he can hyper focus on something, then it gives him a purpose to live and to stay sane, right? Like it's like, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go kick the crap out of this guy and I'm going to be king of Gotham, even though he has no ties other than somebody said in the chat earlier, a bunch of bats scared him. Then that's it.
Yeah. I mean, like and if Bird had mentioned a different city with bats, right? If he never mentioned Batman, he would have no interest in Gotham. It just happened to work out like that.
The other interesting thing is like when they start experimenting on him, they use this thing called Venom. And I had friends that would see this that were not comic book readers that were like, oh, that's the Spider-Man guy, right? Like the Venom guy. And I was like, no, that's a different universe. But Venom was something that Batman was sort of addicted to earlier on, a few years before this. There was an actual storyline called Batman Venom. And of course he's Batman, so he overcame it, right? Whereas like Bane is like, no, pump me up with this juice. It's going to make me strong. I'm smart and I'm already, he's got this amazing physique. But now I'm going to be stronger, which he gets huge.
It's huge.
Huge in this. So he ends up breaking out of prison and starts moving into Gotham. And we do get this amazing confrontation that I thought Christopher Nolan did a really good job of. The first time that Bane met Batman, I know how people feel like, definitely Tom Hardy's Bane is very divisive. Some people like it. Some people absolutely hated his voice.
Yeah.
Some people thought like this is not Bane. Hey, but it's still better than the Bane from Maddie's favorite Batman movie. The vegetable Bane guy from.
That's really silly. But number one Bane is the Harley Quinn cartoon show Bane. That's my favorite.
Oh, is that the best one? I actually like
he's really sweet. I really love him.
I like the Batman animated or the new Gotham Adventures, whatever it was called. But yeah, there's a scene in here where he's just okay. First of all, I got to show this page.
Yeah.
Where he is beating up the Three Stooges.
That was funny.
That was funny. I was like not expecting that.
It took me a second, and I was like, wait.
Look familiar.
I love little Easter eggs like that. So he does confront Batman, but he doesn't like fight him.
No.
He just like watches him like a predator, which I thought was really cool because in the movie, that's what Bane does. Like, when Tom Hardy's walking out like this, and he's just holding onto his jacket like that, and he's just watching Batman, like stalking him. Very similar to this, and I thought that was translated well in the movie. But I dug that, man. As a kid, I was like, whoa, who is this guy? Because, okay, I don't know how many people here that are watching right now, or maybe commenting later, if you were growing up when this was coming out. Because when this was coming out, we didn't have the internet, right? Like, I guess some people did, maybe, I don't know. But we knew that Vengeance of Bane was going to be a big book because speculators were hitting like rumors that the summer summit that they had was like somebody's going to kill Batman and there's going to be a new Batman. They're going to do the same thing with Superman. And the guy that's going to do it is Bane. And we already knew about Doomsday. Like, oh, Doomsday's the guy that killed Superman. Bane's going to do the same thing. So it was a lot of rumors like that. And I thought that was really interesting, like how comic speculators have always been there, but without the power of the internet, they called it. They were like, oh, this guy's the guy that's going to be the big baddie in this. And sure enough, he is, and moves into Gotham. And that's only just part of it, right? That's the setup for Bane. Then you've got like Batman. Batman is really, really tired. That's what you get out of this. Like Bruce Wayne is like, oh man, it's just one bad guy after another. Which happens all the time, but for some reason now it's like I think he's got a cough in this, and Alfred's like, you need to go lay down, Master Bruce. And Batman's like, shut up, Alfred. I know what I'm doing. That's
my favorite part about this whole thing is just how incredibly burnt out this man is.
And yet he does not stop to the point where his back is broken. That's the only way to get him to stop. What? Are we not spoiling this at all?
I'm not reading this ever again in my life. The Joker's laugh is still way too vivid for me.
Agree.
Interesting. Okay. Evidently, Dennis O'Neil didn't know about the death of Superman until they were too far along in planning Nightfall. Had he known, he would have delayed it. That's interesting. There are a lot of things in here that I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. One of them is this villain called Metalhead. I'm just going to show you a picture of what Metalhead looks like.
Oh,
He was a
yeah.
new villain, right? Like very S&M type of costume. I don't know. But the weird thing about this is not the villain, but what Tim decides to do is
that was interesting. That was interesting.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're talking about the new costume for
Azrael, right? Like Azrael needed a new costume.
He makes a new costume for Azrael, and I didn't think of it at the time. I was like, okay, he made him like a ninja. But then later on, he's like, it's all my fault because I made the costume too much like this guy.
Yes.
I was like, what are you talking? What a reach.
Yes, what a reach.
Because I did that, it's made him crazy. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I got to show. This is one of my favorite covers by Travis Charest.
Yes,
I love it. Travis Charest at the time was, to us was going to be the next Jim Lee. Like when I was a kid, I was like, this guy's going to be huge. And he was. And in ways, he kind of surpassed Jim Lee. He went on, he's not a fast artist, and he went on to do a lot of European comics and but his art is just beautiful. This is during his Jim Lee phase, though. But that's Azrael's that's the costume from Sword of Azrael.
Yeah, I love that.
But he doesn't look anything like that, right? He makes him look like that ninja that looks like Metalhead, and you're like,
confused.
Tim is a really smart dude. Why did he do that? Like, why would you make your boy look like a villain? Like, come on, Tim. He's like, oh man, I got you all this padding. You're gonna look cool.
Yeah, because at some point you can't be like, because at first it was like, oh, it's just so he blends him with Gotham. And I thought about it just now. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Look at Robin and what he's wearing. He doesn't need for this guy to have a different costume.
No, the contrast is definitely there. So the lead up to this, some collections don't collect the actual lead up, like all that stuff with Azrael and Tim and all of the villains that he's fighting, like Black Mask and those kids. You just
I like the Black Mask stuff a lot, though. Honestly, I thought it was a cool story.
I did too. I love that story. And then you finally get the confrontation here, and this is really cool because this is the first time that Jean-Paul Valley, for some reason, he gets chosen to wear the bat outfit. Like Bruce finally listens to Alfred, and he's like, "Okay, I need some sleep. You're right. I need some sleep." Okay, how about you, Jean-Paul Valley, who we just met? How about you dress up as Batman? And you
Tim was like,
Batman.
Yeah, he won't even. It's not Tim. It's not Dick. He's like, yeah, Jean-Paul. That's
this guy.
This guy.
Actually, the story that makes all of this completely worth reading is at the very, very end, and that is Prodigal. Prodigal is, like, to me, one of the best Batman stories, and it does fit. It features Dick Grayson, because the whole time you're reading this, you're like,
where is he?
Why didn't you pick up the phone and call Dick Grayson, who loves you like a son? And there is an actual reason that
my man doesn't do it.
Like,
I know. By the time he does show up, he's like, "Why didn't he choose me?" And
there's an actual reason why Bruce didn't, and it always makes me tear up. And I love that story so much. But yeah, you got Jean-Paul Valley now pretending to be Batman, and Bane's like refusing to fight him. He's like, "You're not Batman. I want Batman." And I was like, "Dude, this guy knows." Like, super smart, huge. Oh my gosh. And thank you so much, Carl. Tim Drake is the best detective. Out detecting like Batman for sure. I love Tim Drake. And that, man, then like Bane messes with the Riddler, gives him the venom. So Riddler's
that was an interesting choice.
Right, because you're used to the Riddler being the smart guy, right? Not the super strong, like I'm gonna beat you down type of villain.
What I love, like during all this, he's trying to get therapy. He's talking to that one doctor. He's got the hots for, which honestly, I like their dynamic.
Oh, Sharon?
Yeah, I really like her.
Yeah, she plays a big part in Night Quest.
Like it was kind of refreshing to see Batman struggling this bad the whole time. And like it's affecting him physically, and he doesn't know what to do. And it makes like the lead up to what, like right before his back gets broken, so much better. because you're like, oh my god, what is gonna like?
Yeah, it's like
This has got to come to a head. Either you're gonna kill someone or you're gonna just be broken.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this too. I mean, there are some really good things about this crossover that I enjoyed. Like the breakout of Arkham was brilliant. I love it. I mean, it's kind of stupid, right? Like sending in a little robot, but I love when all the villains break out. Like, and it's weird because you figured like Bane would want to beat Batman at the top of his game, right? Like the more he fascinates over Batman, you're thinking, okay, why is he wearing him down instead of like catching him on a good day? Like usually when a villain shows up, they're like, oh, I can take that guy. But it's like he just watches him get beat down, and then finally he makes his move. So I don't know where like why he decided to do that. Plus he's got the Venom going for him too.
Because he's smart. I mean, clearly he's smart. He understands Batman's power. He's been studying him this whole time. He knows that this is the way to do it. He's just smart. He's probably smarter than most of the villains that Batman has encountered.
Surprisingly.
Yes, surprisingly.
I was not expecting him to be smart and have like a really loyal crew like that.
Oh yeah, right?
Oh, Bird and
like Bird and the guys.
Yeah, the guys. Bird is the one I remember the most.
But yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, because it doesn't hit his way with of just wanting like, I want to break this man down completely. That is my goal, was different than what I thought would happen. The only thing I could think of it because of his past.
Mm-hmm.
And how he was broken down to then what be built back up.
Maybe.
That
yeah. Yeah,
So
it's interesting. Yeah, because I'm with you guys where it feels like a character like this normally wants to fight someone at their best and not. But he's like, no, I'm gonna ruin your entire life.
And
I'm gonna break you down so bad.
And maybe that's what that's his way of fighting him. He's like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
You can't beat Batman in a one-on-one, but I know how to beat him. And it's giving him this impossible task where every one of the villains he's ever fought is now running rampant in this city, and Gotham police can't take care of them all, and Batman thinks he's the only one who can handle it.
It's very strategic.
Let Tim like just break off and do his own thing. He's like, no, I'll take care of it. Tim's like,
yeah, I only got one kid,
right?
And my oldest one's gone.
Yeah.
And Oracle just showed up when I talked to her, even though she already knew.
Yeah, she already knew the whole time.
All right. So I absolutely love stories like this. They can be tropey as hell, but I love when bad guys team up or they all get out and the good guys have to like get them all back, right? Like ring them up, all of them. So when you look at it, a list like this, you're like, oh, okay, you got the film freak. Come on, Maxie Zeus. Is that really a threat? But then you've got like the Joker and Zsasz. Oh my gosh.
I like Zsasz a lot.
Oh, dude, and he is a creep. Killer Croc is still running amok. I think the first one they go after is Mad Hatter. Yeah.
Mad Hatter.
Right? Who's kind of an easy pick. Like, okay, we'll go get the Mad Hatter. We'll deal with the Joker later on because I don't have time to deal with the Joker right now. I'm kind of tired. So that's what happens. In each issue, you see Batman and Robin trying to tackle down these villains and get them back. Like, oh man, and Zsasz is a creep. Like even in the comics of like Authority era, like when you couldn't get away with much, the things that they were able to get away with, like wow.
Yeah, and that
freaking monster, man.
I was kind of surprised by that.
And he was still new at the time. Yeah, he'd only appeared just like a couple of years beforehand. Man, Norm Brayfogel's artwork, so good.
I really like how silly the ventriloquist was. I've never seen that guy before.
The ventriloquist is great. Yeah. Then you've got like Robin kidnapped by Bane, and then the Killer Croc wants the rematch with Bane.
That's my boy.
Nice. That was nice. I like that rematch.
I'm not used to seeing Killer Croc not how he is now. So I was like, who is this? Like, it's Killer Croc. And I was like, no.
So while Batman is out there getting everybody, he's telling Jean-Paul Valley, stay back. And Jean-Paul's like, I'm going to work out really hard. I'm going to be huge like Batman. I'm going to show them who's the boss. Woo, man. So you know something is gonna happen. You know that something's gonna happen.
So what exactly is Jean-Paul's deal? Is he's just like, because they mentioned like there's
the system.
I guess he's been hypnotized in a way, right, to where all that is in his head. But he's also really like susceptible to things because his switch into that was really interesting.
Yeah, when he goes
is it
in
just the way his brain works? Is that why?
Oh, yeah. Because he's built like that's the way he was raised. That's the Order of Saint Dumas. Like that's the system that works. And he had an ongoing series for a long time after Knightfall too. Poison Ivy gets involved doing her Poison Ivy thing. Joker, Scarecrow team up. There's a really good issue because keep in mind this is also long before the Red Hood, right? Like that storyline.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing issue where the Scarecrow unleashes the toxins on Batman. Oh, and I forgot during this time the Huntress's outfit. This is before the Jim Lee outfit from Hush, which I think she still uses to this day. But this is like the Batman and the Outsiders era of the Huntress, like that kind of outfit.
Yeah,
but she didn't show up long.
I know. Well, none of them did because it was like I think it was just supposed to be. Let's focus on Batman. Let's focus on how rough this is on him. Yeah, I love this issue right here. All the covers, by the way, were supplied by Kelly Jones, and a lot of people were like, "Why isn't Kelly Jones doing the inside work?" Now later on, Kelly Jones did take over as the main artist on Batman, but to me, my definitive Batman artist is the artist that's on the book right now.
Montoya was so good.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Jazz issue.
No, she's a character that I think appeared in the TV show first.
She did, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, much like Harley Quinn, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So yeah, this is one of my favorite issues. So he's got the toxin gas, and he's of course thinking about Jason Todd, right? Like Robin getting killed, and then realizing that Jason is dead, so he snaps on the Joker, and they have this awesome fight. And this is Jim Aparo, like to me, my favorite Batman artist, and that probably has a lot to do with my childhood. Like this is what I grew up with. But I love this beatdown with the Joker. But you can't even keep the Joker down, right? Scarecrow ends up getting like a rocket launcher to stop Batman, of course, because everybody carries a rocket launcher.
It's all available to the villain.
There's a lot of good, like Graham Nolan does some awesome artwork in the Detective Comics. So you had like Detective Comics was written by Chuck Dixon, and then Graham Nolan doing the art for that, and then Doug Minch did the Batman series. This cover, oh my gosh, so good. I love that. Look at that. That's crazy. I don't think a body works like that.
No,
I don't think
no.
But it's amazing. Gosh, I love that cover. This came polybagged. Anybody that picked this up? No, it wasn't polybagged. Came with like an OB dust jacket, so like a half dust jacket. It was a really interesting gimmicky thing. Oh, I love that cover. Kelly Jones can draw some big dudes. But yeah, this is when Bane shows up at the house. He shows up at the crib when Bruce is just rolling in like, oh man, I need to catch a nap. And Bane's like, you ain't got time for a nap. You got to deal with me, boy. Oh, look at this shot. I love this shot. He punches him to no avail.
It's just really emotional. Like this part was really like. But I love this back and forth in this whole chapter, though. Where he's just like, I'm gonna die. I can't.
He's like, I can't fight.
I've got nothing. I'm so tired.
And Bane knows it. He's like, you're already broken.
Yeah.
That is just oh my gosh, man.
And between that and knowing that Bane knows that he's Bruce in real life, that has to be also weighing him down. That's just like that's a shock that he doesn't have time to even process.
It's a weird take on Batman because you're used to Batman or superheroes in general, just like, all right, no matter what. Like when Superman died, like one of his last words were like Metropolis over my dead body. Like when Doomsday was trying to hit Metropolis, right? Batman in this moment is like, I want to die.
Yep.
Like that's how bad this is. And reading this, and being a Batman fan, you're like, oh my gosh, this is awful. It's like watching your best friend get the crap beat out of him and you're just standing to the side.
And there's nothing you could do.
Yeah. Oh, dude, breaks his poor back. Poor Batman. And then he just says broken and done and leaves him there. But doesn't just leave him there. He decides to like pick him up and take him. Oh my gosh. He decides to take him and drop him. Like, what the hell?
He wants everyone to see what he did.
Yeah.
To ridicule him, right? Like to ridicule him and to let people know.
Especially
Go ahead, Amanda.
No, I was saying especially like the other like the mobsters of everyone in the city, so they know who exactly is in charge now.
That's right, because if you're gonna run a city, then you need to go show everybody who's boss. And the way you do that is you take the dude that you just broke. So he just broke his back and then he throws him at the city. That's like, damn, that's messed up. Like literally messed up.
I mean, it's reminiscent too of like how his mom was like just thrown out of the prison into the water. Like, okay, no real bears. Like, same for you.
Yeah. Very similar. Yeah, you're right. Very similar to the warden, right? Like when he threw the warden off the helicopter in the Vengeance of Bane.
Yep.
Now, I think this is the moment where like a little bit of comic book science goes into play when I think Alfred is like, oh yeah, we can save him, but we need like this really special medicine.
Yeah.
I need you to go get this medicine. The poor ventriloquist. What the hell?
That was also very depressing.
He was arguing not with himself, but they start threatening each other and he ends up shooting themselves.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Coming back, he does have a big role to play. Now Knightfall does a little bit, like I think they were maybe a little bit behind. So there was this Showcase 93 that had a flashback story between Tim and Two-Face, because Tim and Two-Face are really connected, and that's what they wanted to do in these couple of stories. I think Glenn Fabry does the covers or art. And Kelly Jones doing that cover.
Yeah, I like that cover.
Yeah. Yowza.
He looks so silly.
Bane
is so silly.
Dude, Bane is just taking out everybody. So it is decided that Jean-Paul Valley will end up wearing the mantle of the Bat. It's what did he say? It's like something along the lines of like, it's what you wanted since you first showed up. The mantle of the Bat.
Yes.
Like it's not just the actual cowl, like the cowl, right? Like not like an extra cowl. It's his actual costume, like Batman's costume. So he puts it on and together they become Batman and Robin. Now he's a little bit edgier than I forgot about the Brett Blevins issue with the Tolly Man? No.
Anarchy.
Yeah. Anarchy, yeah, with
a K.
Yep. What's up, Illuminati? Bane having the old Gotham orphan treatment and chucked him in the trash. I spent 2 years collecting all the issues of Knightfall, Knightquest, and Knights, and the only book I'm missing is Vengeance of Bane. Because there were like 3 printings for Vengeance of Bane. I think you might be able to find one of those cheaper, if you don't mind, Yes, and I'm with you. I love those Kelly Jones covers. I think they're phenomenal, especially for a big character like Bane.
Yeah,
I think the best part of Azrael being Batman is, of course, it's interesting to see him do things that Batman would not do, that Bruce Wayne would not do. But my favorite moments are with him and Gordon.
Oh, because it's a different, like...
Yeah, Gordon's like, wait, usually you're gone by now. And
he's like, come on,
wait, why are you still here?
I'm not done hearing what you have to say. But usually you don't wait for me to finish.
That was so funny. That was so good.
That was a great...
And just him being so clued in, because, man, Gordon loves Batman so much, where he's just like, he's different. Something is wrong.
Thank you all for the kind words. Kirby!
Thank you, guys.
Doesn't Azrael Batman have a crossover with Punisher somewhere in here? No, that happens later. It's after this and not in continuity, but it will be in the Marvel versus DC Omni. This is the turning point right here, the part 16. It looks a lot more brutal than it does in the comic.
I mean, that was
like,
he looks
Kelly Jones could do some freaking nightmare fuel type of covers.
That is Nightmare Batman.
This is a little more dramatic than it's a little more extra.
I don't know. I mean, he was pretty extra in the comic when he
was, but I think this goes over the top with like the nails.
Or the scene where he lets out some of the prisoners at Arkham just so he can get them all in a room together to beat them up. I'm like, oh my god,
that was awesome.
That's big brain. That's a big brain move.
So this is at the point where Bane starts hearing rumors by his own crew that Batman is back. And Bane's like, no, I broke that. So he starts snapping at his own people, right? He's like, I broke him. Batman is not back. Like, I love that. I love that now it's messing with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pretender. And this is when you start seeing the system work, right? Like he starts doodling and he's like I love when he starts talking behind people's backs. Like, it's one of my favorite things about Jean-Paul Valley. He's like, oh, yeah. You go ahead and keep being Batman. I'll come back to being Batman here in a little bit when my back gets better with some comic book science. And Jean-Paul Valley's like, no, it's fine. But he doesn't let Bruce hear him or anybody hear him, right? It's not his. And then he starts doodling this, I think this is the glove. Right? Yes!
Oh, God.
How 90s and edgy and extreme is that? That's awesome.
Yes.
So this is where Bruce decides that to leave. I think this is where he ends up leaving. Oh, I love this cover. That's so creepy. That's nice. And what the hell is even happening? Why is Bane naked in front of
I
guess
look at the muscles on top of muscles that Kelly Jones drew. I don't think ribs look like that.
Yeah, there's some extra stuff on the sides that I don't think belong there in your chest.
Put some pants on, man.
Have you all seen? I promise this really. If you guys seen this video going around where this guy talks about how guys like that who work out their traps a lot, that have those like weird muscles right here, end up looking like they're just small men stuck in large body suits.
Yeah, because their heads don't get bigger. Because their heads don't get bigger.
They don't look like they belong to this part. They look like there's just that's their shoulders. So they're just like little.
Exactly. Sometimes your body's not made to
be. It is really appropriate that Tom Hardy played Bane, though, because have y'all ever seen what was that movie, Bronson? Where he just gets completely in the nude and starts fighting dudes.
No.
It's just now it reminds me of this. Could you imagine?
I don't like where the lights position, like from going from the top up, like he just took his pants off and like there's like the shining glory of what's underneath.
And what is Batman looking at then?
You know what he's looking at. It's straight ahead.
That's an immaculate picture, and it's Detective Comics 666.
Oh my god. Is it really?
Yeah, I've always loved that cover though. I know it's ridiculous, but yeah, now the fight starts happening. Like new Batman. Ass-Bat. Badass. What do we call him? Ass-Bat, right? Yeah, AZ, Ass-Bat.
Okay, Ass-Bat. Okay, I was like, I don't know.
So he starts going after like Bane and knocking out his crew, like, and he's not afraid because he's got the gauntlet. He's got those new freaking like gloves that
I know.
He thinks it's part of this, right? If Bane is able to use Venom, then he can use, these gloves. Now that leads into the next issue, which is issue 500, which had a beautiful cover. There were a couple covers, but the cover by Joe Quesada is one of my all-time favorite covers. But this is the one by Kelly Jones, which will debut the new costume. The new Batman costume. And man, if that's not 90s, my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah.
90s.
And this is when Jean-Paul Valley, like, he starts snapping on everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's badass. Yes. Is that John Cena from the Oscars?
Oh my God.
So good.
That is what it looks like.
And this is where he was expanding on the gauntlets, and he's like, wait, if I can make like a whole thing like this, I could take him down. And I think was it Harold that was watching him? He starts breaking the cameras in the Batcave. What Harold the hell?
There.
That's
Harold's
awesome.
like, nah, I'm not getting in the middle of this.
Dude, Harold is always in the cave somewhere, minding his own business, and some freak comes down there and starts building. Like, yeah, this is the moment that you all were talking about, where Dick starts talking.
Yeah, that's the moment when Dick shows up finally, and he's like, "Wait a minute."
Pages, right? Like he even found out. He was like, I had to learn from Oracle. Like he can't pick up the phone, that his back got broken,
that he needs help, and why did he choose Azrael?
Yeah, and this is the moment that Maddie was talking about when he was like, "Oh crap, I think he's snapping because I made him look like a villain." Whoops.
That's the reason. That's
detective.
it. Tim, that's it.
You know, our detectives here, you know, Bruce and Tim, they're very intelligent, but they're not emotionally intelligent oftentimes. So that's where we get stuck.
Yes.
Batman and ass bat, but then Dick Grayson is Batman is ass bat. Yes, baby, that's right.
He does. He's got some assets on him.
Oh yeah, Tim Drake finds the drafts and stuff. He's like, "Oh my god, you gotta be kidding! What? This isn't gonna work."
Well, you can tell just like the craziness looming, even from the first part. Like, hey, this is all yours. You can use. He's like, this is mine. And like he's just like all like the equations. Like, wait, I'm Batman then. Like,
yeah.
You know, say what you will about the 90s. I still love that costume. Not as cool as the Azrael costume. I think his costume is awesome.
I mean, it's a good costume. I dug it.
What do you think, Maddie? You in this? You in on this?
Yeah. I think it's cool.
I mean, I kept thinking it's power, but I mean, it's fine.
Love it. I think it's great.
It's no Dick Grayson costume of this time. It's no Nightwing costume of this time.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Oh wait. Which the one that just showed up?
I
like that one, huh? So there is a huge fight here where it's just Batman and Bane going at it. He's using his old, his whole little trinkets now because he's got all these little extra gadgets that he's fighting with. Bane's still fighting with the Venom. However, he ends up cutting that out. But yeah, he's holding his own. The new Batman is holding his own. I do like the last part of this too. I think it's awesome. Like where it's the whole acceptance speech by Tim. Mm-hmm. I thought that was awesome. And, it's like he realizes that he is Batman. And then Bane's like, Batman, kill me. And he's that's great.
Yeah.
He says, thanks, kid. And I guess you are the Batman. Thanks, kid.
Man, yeah.
Then he snaps at him, and then he gets his own series.
Yep.
This is the cover I was talking about. This is the Joe Quesada Chromium cover. I love that cover.
Oh, I like that cover.
That's nice.
Yeah, that was the one that I used to have. It was the variant Chromium cover. Kevin Nolan was his inker on that. Kevin Nolan's an amazing artist. But that, in a nutshell, is Batman Knightfall. It can be found in an omnibus, trade paperbacks. I am the old reader, so I know my thoughts on this. I'm curious about my two new readers. What did y'all think of Batman Knightfall? What did you like?
I'll let Amanda.
I love the things that you like.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot to this this Omni, but at first I was, in the beginning, I was a little bit run down with the amount of, and maybe that's the purpose of it, of going through this every issue after issue. It's just Batman getting more and more tired, and it's the same. He fights someone and it's not going his way because he's tired and he's getting more tired, and Bane's back there in the background doing his stuff. But I think that was the point of it. And I came to appreciate that by the end, especially when Bane finally revealed himself. I am a sucker for those types of reveals. When he came to the Wayne Manor, I was like, that's my favorite kind. I love when that stuff happens. When the villain finds out who the hero is, I love that stuff. So that made it worth it for me. The second volume, or the second part after his back is broken. Some of that was hit or miss for me. I mean, I guess the Two-Face story in there was fine. But I do like Jean-Paul's, descent. I don't know if it's an ascent, but it's definitely a descent into the madness of being Batman, essentially. But he does come out the other side of it, I guess, in his own way, and becomes the Batman. at the end of the day. I want to read the rest of it so that I know what happens to Bruce when he went off on his side quest to get his back fixed and save his therapist, doctor, lady, and all that. I don't know, like that just left me hanging there. So I'd like to find out what happens there. But no, I think it was a really strong story overall, and I love the introduction of Bane. Did they talk about Bane's backstory in Dark Knight Rises? Because obviously I haven't read a lot of Batman and not with Bane in it. So I wasn't
in the movie. It's a little different. It's different.
It's different, yeah. I
like ties to the Talia al Ghul.
That's right.
Okay.
And Ross, yeah. So I like this. I like the introduction of Bane here. That story really grabbed me. As far as Bane's backstory, it made me appreciate the villain a little bit more. I liked a lot of the artwork, while it's very 90s and over the top. I really enjoyed a lot of it. It was fun to look at. So, I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed this Omni. I want to read the rest, and I really want to read Prodigal because the way you talk about it makes me feel like I'm missing out on something.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to.
Prodigal is it's the third arc. So it's like Batman Night Quest, and then it's Night's End.
Yeah.
Night's End is the last part where Batman or Bruce Wayne's like, I got my back better. I'm Batman.
Yay!
And well,
back, man.
It's not that easy because Jean-Paul Valley, of course, he's going crazy. He's like, no.
Yeah, I'm not giving it back.
Fucking Batman.
You not see my claw?
By then he goes nuts and he starts like just changing his gloves out. He starts getting a new, like every freaking month he was getting something like change on his outfit. This omnibus just collects the first part of Knightfall. It's got like the prelude and it's got the Knightfall 19 issue crossover. Knight's Quest is in the second volume. And then do I get a taco? You taco. Love you, man. And then Night's End and Prodigal, those can be found in the Knightfall Volume 3 Omnibus. But people have said those are out of print. But I'm sure they'll come back to print. I think those were voted in our most wanted, like top 20.
It also is really readily available on DC Universe as well.
Mm-hmm. If you read digitally.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I loved reading about Bruce losing it. No surprise. I was really glad he went to therapy, not successfully, but he did start it.
He's trying.
That's pretty good.
Gotta give him some bonus points for that.
I really liked seeing how that affected him and seeing him like this and giving him not just like, I am just the guy and I'm going to get it done all the time. Because I appreciate seeing Bruce as Lois, because I know that if he just reached out to anyone who loved him, he would be fine. But he does it continuously, and that's how he gets to, where he is. And I was worried that I would get like really lost in all of the constant, like, here's another villain showing up and doing this here, and again. But once I realized it was a part of the whole plan to kind of like wear him down, I was way more into it. I was like, okay, so let's get another one. Let's throw another one. Let's see what happens. I love Bane's backstory. I thought that was super interesting to see like how he came about and then why he's doing all of this. Because I guess I haven't read a lot with Bane in it. So I didn't have a really good understanding of him outside of like the movies. Yeah. And so I did not expect to see him like this. I always kind of saw him as like lone wolf guy who was just sort of angry and showed up and, hit stuff real good. And I didn't see him as like being a intelligent, complicated guy. Yeah. I didn't expect that. And so I thought that was really interesting. Again, I had a good time with all the villains. I'm glad that nothing, even though it was all very serious, there's a lot of like moments that didn't take themselves too seriously. It was just good fun.
Yeah. I mean, there were some dark moments, don't get me wrong.
Well, yeah.
And it's a really good way to showcase all of Batman's villains, even some of the ones
very quickly.
Yeah. Here, do you remember these guys? Here's a really cool story with them. You haven't seen them in a while. Like, because I didn't know all of them because I haven't read that much Batman. And the ones we have read typically have the traditional Batman villains we are used to seeing in like the other mediums. So like Zaz, I've never seen. The ventriloquist, never seen him either. So those were interesting new villains.
And Zaz I only know about because of most DC villains I know about. No, because of the DC deck building card game. So I know the card and awesome. The face, but then I don't know the origins of most of these characters. So when he showed up, I was like, oh, it's a card.
That's
that was the point of crossovers too. And I'm going to get to a couple of the comments here because they're asking some good questions. That was the point of crossovers, was to get you invested in the characters so you could follow their adventures in their own books. So if you weren't picking up, like, say, Batman, and you were picking up Detective Comics, you could be like, oh, this story is really cool. I like the way this writer is, his take on Batman. And all these new characters that weren't in Detective Comics, all these villains are now in Batman. So that's really cool. And I think that was like the point of these kind of crossovers. I love stories like this because, you're thrown, man. You are like in the middle of everything. Yeah. You don't have to know any of these characters because one issue at a time, you find out what their powers are, what their little thing about them, why he's the Mad Hatter, why they call him the ventriloquist, and even some C-list, D-list villains that show up.
Yeah.
Like Maxie Zeus, I think, gets knocked down in the very first one. Favorite cover in volume 1? Oh, dude, come on. Do you even have to ask? The iconic cover. The one, the only. 6.
Yes, who doesn't? That has to be the best.
I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. I've never seen so many puzzles. That's amazing. Probably the 497. I mean, that's the iconic cover for me and a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
From the first volume. Where can we find the quest of Bruce Wayne? Completely Knightfall Volume 2 Omnibus has Night Quest. Because it's split up into the search and the quest. I think this is what the other one was called. For some reason, the trade paperback versions didn't show the quest or the search. And that's the whole Sharon and Bruce story and what happens to her. I don't know why. Pantless Bane for the win. Omar, how would you guys... Oh, this is a good question and so difficult.
Shoot.
How would you guys rank the Bat family members from your favorite to least favorite in this volume? Oh, in this volume. That's not that bad then.
There's not that many in this one.
No.
Bruce, Alfred. Well, I tell you at the very bottom is Jean-Paul Valley, but I think that was the point, right? People keep complaining about making Batman edgier. Then by the end of the story, they're like, okay, we want Batman back. Get rid of this guy.
I feel like Oracle's still up the top because she knew it was going on.
I love Oracle. Always.
She had a great line in there too, where she, this was after the thing with his back happened.
Yeah.
And she's like, I hope that unlike me, you're able to get out of this.
Again. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, her, Tim, Alfred, Bruce, because he's messing up.
When Dick shows up, so I think he's towards the top because he didn't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I think he's just saying characters in general. So then I got to go with my boy Dick Grayson as number 1. Then Tim Drake, because I love Tim Drake. Like, Tim Drake's my favorite Robin. Oracle, and then Alfred, and then I guess Bruce Wayne, Batman.
And then John Paul.
Then Commissioner Gordon.
Is he part of that family?
I chose Montoya over Commissioner Gordon. I love her.
I don't see her as family. I see her as a character, but Gordon's family.
All right, fine.
That man loves Batman. I think he loves him so much.
And then, you've seen Brave and the Bold, right? The cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Harold, and then Jean-Paul Valley.
There you go.
There we go. That's good.
That's the way I would rank
Jean Paul's the worst. He's interesting, but I'm like,
no, I don't care.
I don't like him.
I would take Harold.
Take away his power. Take his gauntlets away and throw him in the river.
Is this the best Bane story, or did City of Bane close in on it? Tom King's Batman is very hit and miss with me. I know people love it. Obviously, they love it. It's the number 1 most wanted DC Omnibus. I liked I Am Suicide. I liked it's like a roller coaster. There's some really bad stories in there, and then some stories that even made me tear up. Like that whole. Have you read, Maddie? Have you read Tom King's Batman?
No.
Oh, you haven't.
Well, actually,
I thought you had read the lead up to the wedding, right?
I've read Leap to the Wedding after that. I remember liking it.
The double date issue was wonderful.
Oh God, the double date episode, it's so good.
Yeah. Seriously, like that is one of the best comics.
Man, to be ever, it's so good because Bruce and Selena, and then Lois and Clark double date and do a little switch. It looks so similar. I mean, so like good. Bruce and Clark look the same a lot of times, right?
Pretty much.
It's very cute. It's very cute.
And like that's my definitive Batman artist, Jim Aparo. So it's on. I actually like Knightfall more than I did City of Bane. I have issues with City of Bane, but we're not reviewing City of Bane right now. Off topic, Omar, but do you know when we might get Annihilation Omnibus reprint? I've already announced it for next year, January of 2025. Right off the bat. How do I feel about Legacy? Legacy is my favorite Batman crossover. Absolute favorite Batman crossover. I love Legacy. Everyone knows the best written Oh, dude, Secret Six.
I still haven't read
Bane is so good. It's so good.
Everyone's recommended that, or at least I assume we haven't read it, because sometimes I say we haven't read it, and I'm wrong.
The only part of Secret Six that we've read together was Villains United, which was years ago when we did it. It was the lead up to Infinite Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big part of that crossover where the villains found out about Dr. Light, so they kind of start like a union, and then these 6 villains were like, we're not joining you guys, we're gonna go fight on our own.
Okay.
Sorry, but that one thing that happened in City of Bane should never have been allowed to happen. Oh, right, that thing. There's also that. With the recent success of X-Men 97, any chance we get Batman the Animated Series resurrect? Without Kevin Conroy, it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill has already stated he will never go and do another Batman project just because his Joker, his Joker was the nemesis to Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Yeah. And I don't think that's WB. I don't think they're even thinking about that. Let's be honest.
They're not thinking about much.
No, they aren't. Well, I mean, I don't think James Gunn is thinking. We'll say that James Gunn's probably not thinking that. He wants to start something fresh. That's his whole mandate. So.
Oh, if you guys haven't read Secret Six, it is amazing. Like Gail Simone's Secret Six is amazing. Maddie, you can have my trade paperbacks because I just upgraded to the omnibus. If you want to do an old reader, new reader, we can do it that way. It is so good. There's a couple moments that made me think, like when they said that there was going to be a big Batman character that joins the Secret Six, and then it was revealed that it was Bane. Dude, I was like, this is so freaking stupid. How is this even going to work? But she made it work. I was like, okay, I'm in. Oh, damn, now I like Bane. Yeah, it was such a good series. DC, I'm surprised DC has not done there's no animated version of Knightfall, really?
No? I don't think so, no. I mean, I'm like a year behind on my DC animated stuff, but
well, that's less than my 10 years behind on my DC animated. So you're doing better.
That's where all the good DC movies are.
I think
nope.
the killing joke just put the nail in the coffin for me.
No, ignore that.
I had Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman and Mark Hamill as Joker.
Well, sorry, but it's a horrible thing to watch.
I know.
It was.
You guys have to at least watch Batman Ninja once for reals talk because it's so funny. It's such a weird movie.
You love that one.
I love Batman Ninja. It's not good, but it's just
it's animated really cool though.
Yeah, it's animated really cool. Everyone's looks so different in like feudal Japan, right? And then there's also mech suits. It's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
That's fantastic.
It's a must watch at least one time.
Ian McKellen is in the hospital. Sorry, somebody just messaged me.
Oh
my God. No, don't tell me that.
He fell on stage.
Oh, okay.
You should watch the Long Halloween double movie too. They did a great job with it. What's wrong with the Killing Joke movie? Oh my gosh. Something
it's just
stupid at the like. Oh, dude, you take one of the greatest Joker stories and they try to add something so dumb that makes absolutely no sense. And I don't want to spoil it because some people may like it when they watch it. Oh my God. I was like, what is the point of this? This was so dumb. And
it's already a hard thing to read.
Yes. And to add that element of just how young she is and it makes sense.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Mason Spencer.
Thank you, Mason.
Yeah. Let's see. The very beginning moment, destroy that movie. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. I was like, what? Convincing my friends to go see The Killing Joke with me was just to get hit with that bar Batman scene. I still right.
Yeah.
What the true. The problem with the Killing Joke movie is that it's based on the Killing. But the issue with the Killing Joke movie wasn't what was in the Killing Joke comic. It was just something ridiculous that they added. I heard about Wells leaving The Amazing Spider-Man. I heard some people were really excited about that. So if it's not your cup of tea, yeah, I guess it's time to break out the celebration glasses. All right, ladies. What would you all give Batman Knightfall?
Oh, rating.
Yeah, let's rate it. What would you all give?
I've been leaning on I feel like 7.
7? Okay. 7.
There's part of it I really, really like, and then the other parts that just don't really interest me.
Yeah.
And so there's a big mix of that. But overall, with there's a lot of issues in this.
Yeah.
There's a lot. This is a big book.
It's a big book. I was gonna give it a 7 too, for me.
7. All right. That's 7 is good. I'm gonna give this 8.5. I really like this story.
Last is wrong.
Of all time on here, Jim Aparo, Graham Nolan kicking butt, Brett Blevins doing some of the artwork in here. So yeah, and there's a lot of good in here. Night Quest, on the other hand, kind of reminds me of the Clone Saga. It kind of overstayed. It's welcome. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10.
Summoner gave it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
You really liked it, huh?
Yeah. Mason gave it an 8 out of 10 too.
9 out of 10 from Rami. I wasn't going to give it a 6 out of 10. Bruce Wayne, 6 out of 10 detective, not the story. It's a good thing Tim Drake is a sidekick during this era.
Man, it was rough for Tim. Just like, what? Nobody bites me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Tim.
It's so legendary. 9 out of 10. Life-changing epic out of 10. Wow. Yeah. This comic really did get a lot of people to start reading Batman that weren't reading Batman, that were probably like Marvel fans. And I remember it being in the news, kind of like Superman, the death of Superman, with the whole it was clickbait. Like, oh, they did it to Superman. Will they do it to Batman? Like that kind of articles that were going around. No Man's Land trilogy or Knightfall trilogy? But No Man's Land, I really, really like. But it kind of starts with even like Contagion. Like Contagion leads into Legacy. Legacy leads into Cataclysm. Cataclysm leads into Road to No Man's, and then No Man's Land. So it's just this huge event, but so much good talent. Montoya has one of the best moments in there. There's an amazing Batman and Commissioner Gordon moment in it. I do still hate what happens to one of the characters in that story. I don't know. It's hard. I think maybe No Man's Land over Knightfall. I'd have to go back and reread it, which is why I love doing old reader, new reader. Like, remembering something the way, but I have reread this quite a lot. Doesn't necessarily mean that I still love it the same way. I mean, I've come to this show for the last few years expecting to give something a 10 out of 10. Then I was like, oh, it's not as good as I remember. And one of them being surprisingly Superman by Mark Waid, the Birthright. That was a 10 out of 10 book for me for so long. And then when we read it on the show, I was like,
not as good the second time, weirdly.
I
felt the same way, but I was like, oh, this is incredible. I remember rereading it later after I read a lot more Superman stuff. I was like, why doesn't it feel the same way it did the first time I read it?
Yeah. Agreed. No Man's Land would be great to cover. Maybe we will do it one day. Was it Blind Justice, the 3-part story where Batman was paralyzed before Night's End? Well, this is it, Doug. Knightfall is what you mean. Yes. Hello, nice show. A side question: is this the right order? Infinite Crisis 52 countdown and Final Crisis at the end. Yes. Infinite Crisis, then that leads into 52, and then Countdown was the weekly series that led into Final Crisis. And then there was Trinity, if you want to do another weekly series after Final Crisis too. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it, man. Good. You guys should do an old reader, new reader on 0 Hour Crisis in Time with Crushing Crisis. I think that's like Peter has such an interesting taste in books. Like he loves that story. I think it's okay. There's something else that he likes that he never like. He's always surprising me with his strong takes on things. Okay, Maddie, this is your show. What else are we doing? What are we talking about? Is that it?
I think that's it. Cause I'm tired. But most of July's plane, I'll be gone next week. So I gotta get nose surgery so I can smell again for the first time in 4 years. Very excited about that. But I'll be back on July 2nd with Peter and Kristen, aka the comics that we're gonna review On a Sunbeam, as was decided live.
He's never read it. Oh, he's
never read it. Elliot will be on sometime next month with a friend of ours. I think we're gonna review a Lemire book, probably.
Nice.
Andrew, aka our original camera guy of Near Mint, gonna come on and read Superman. He's never read a Superman comic, but he's a huge Superman fan.
You know what he would like is Superman 78.
78?
I don't know if I'm allowed to suggest that. It is it's a continuation of the Richard Donner films. And he's a big Richard Donner fan. So Superman 7, and it's really, really good. I really like Superman 78. I don't know if you want to do it that way or not. Shut up, Ryan. Asshole.
Yeah, I'm sure, we'll all do something again.
Yeah.
When I come back, let's
might review TMNT. I don't know.
Oh, it's so good. You should do
last Humble Bundle right now, so.
Let's do Fantastic Four by Mark Waid when I come back.
All right.
The Omnibus. We all have the Omni. So
we do. Finally, I have an excuse to read it.
Let's do it.
I'm going to take it to Japan and reread it when I'm
with you.
When are you going to Japan, Omar? That is next week.
Yeah.
I've got so many videos to shoot. Oh my gosh. And then they're trying to sneak in an interview here and there, but I'm going to have to say no to some people, unfortunately, just because there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
I hate saying that about reading comics, but I can't. I'm beat right now. I took a nap. My daughter wanted to watch Good Burger, and I'm like, I've never seen Good Burger. Sure, let's watch it. Because she watched it in music class. She's like, it's funny, Poppy. And I'm like, no, it's not. These guys.
They watched it in music class? What?
They watched it in music class.
There's no singing in Good Burger.
So, yeah, I don't know why.
I mean,
I guess
it's not Keenan Kel. At least they have an intro there.
Yeah.
So I didn't even last a minute. I was gone. And I woke up 30 minutes later and she's still watching. And she's like, you fell asleep. And I was like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm so exhausted. I needed that. Thank you so much. But
I'm excited for you.
Oh, what are we doing on Reels Talk tomorrow, Amanda?
House of the Dragon, episode 1. We're going to be reviewing episode 1, season 2, obviously. We're going to be talking about what's going on over there in
Westeros?
In Westeros, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
If Rhaenyra is going to get her revenge from last season.
That last scene, man.
I don't want to talk about it. It's hard as a mother to talk about that scene. I don't like it.
All right, Maddie. It's your baby. Sign us off.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. It's been a great time. I had a great time talking about this book. Man and Omar, thank you for hanging out with me.
Of course.
Come back tomorrow. Watch Reels Talk. If you watch this later, comment down below your thoughts on Batman Knightfall. And of course, I'm always happy to take recommendations for future Old Reader new readers. Check out our Patreon. You can vote in there for our monthly pick. And yeah, thank you all so much, and we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.